is New Year's Day 2025, and this morning I got up really early to go to the Hindu temple in Flushing, Queens. This is my routine. This is my routine that I've been practicing for about 8 to 10 years. And it's something that I've developed that just sort of takes me back to my childhood. When I was small, when I was growing up in Scarborough with my parents, on New Year's Day, we would drive to the Hindu temple in Richmond Hill. And I remember that experience very fondly. It was just a day full of spectacle and ritual. And it was something that really always touched me because I felt this connection to ancient practices. So it's been really nice to revive that. My tradition every year is to make a long flower garland on New Year's Eve, which is what I did last night. I was on the ground on a tarp making a flower garland for Vishnu. And over the years, I've kind of gotten better at making this routine, this ritual, something that's really meaningful to me. Previously, when I made these garlands on New Year's Eve, I would use yarn. I would use some kind of woolen yarn. And then I discovered that the original thing that they would use in India for making garlands was the fiber that was on a banana tree, on the trunk of a banana tree, and it was something called Naar, N-A-A-R, which would be peeled off the banana tree, dried, and then thinly ripped into strips. And I found some of this stuff. Here it is right here. Here's some Naar. And this stuff is amazing because it will easily rip this way, lengthwise. So you can rip it into very narrow strips, but when you pull it this way, it's like plastic. Like it will not rip. And the great thing about this is that it decomposes, and it decomposes quickly and easily, but it's very, very strong. So you know how I got this? I talked about it in a YouTube video, and someone who watches from the Caribbean, she had a banana tree in her backyard, and she pulled some of this off the tree, dried it, and mailed it to me. That's what this is right here. But I also found some on Etsy. But the stuff that I've been using for the temple actually came to me from a viewer. So sentimentally, this is really special, and this, I love this stuff so much because it just makes the whole practice, the whole ritual of making this garland even closer a connection to something old and traditional. And something happened today at the temple that I thought would really be the thesis of this message from me to you on New Year's Day. So this is my routine. I make this garland, I go to the temple, I sit and I watch as they perform something called an Abhishekam. And an Abhishekam is the ritual bathing of the deities in the temple. Every deity is a statue made of granite stone, and they are housed in these little shrines. And on New Year's Day in Flushing, at the same time, they strip all the idols of the clothing and the jewelry, and they bathe them in milk and yogurt and honey and turmeric. And this is a practice that has been going on for thousands of years, unchanged. It's actually the same thing that was done in ancient Egypt, in the ancient Egyptian temples to their idols. The ancient Egyptian religion has disappeared, but the Hindu practice has been going unchanged for a long, long time. So this to me, I get to the temple very early so that I can sit and I can watch and I can kind of contemplate whatever it is that's on my mind that I'm focusing on in a positive way for the new year. And so I got to the temple, I sat down in front of Vishnu, bright and early, and I watched. And you're not allowed to film anything or to even take pictures in the temple. There is some footage on YouTube, fantastic footage from a long time ago, from about 10 years ago, from the Hindu temple in Queens, which I'll include here. But all over the temple are these signs, like big printed signs, printed off of a computer printer, that say no photography, absolutely no photography, please keep quiet, keep children still, priests only beyond this point. And they're laminated and they're plastered everywhere. And this morning when I was sitting watching this beautiful spectacle take place, I did think how awful it was that these signs are up and how much they actually visually, this is like such a visual interaction, this practice of going to the temple and as a devotee to watch what's happening, to have this picture, this beautiful picture of this granite statue being bathed in milk and turmeric and yogurt, to have it encumbered by these signs all over. And it was something that it was just sort of in my head, and I put it out of my head because I thought that's not what this is about. It's not about these signs. Focus on the good part of this. And after the bathing was over, there's a little sort of a moment when the curtain gets drawn and the priests actually dress the idol in silks and gold and flower garlands, including the garland that I made. And during that time, I go to the Canteen, which if anyone lives in New York and you like Indian food, especially South Indian food, the Flushing Hindu Temple Canteen in the basement is fantastic. The food is vegan. No, it's not vegan. It's vegetarian. It's amazing. It's delicious and it tastes like it's like home-cooked food. So I went to the Canteen and someone came up to me who watches my videos, this gentleman named Gopal, and he was really friendly, and he told me what he loved about the videos, specifically videos talking about this place, my apartment, was how much I focus on the details. And he said he's not really a detail-oriented person. So it made him think about that. And to Gopal, I brought up the issue of these signs. These signs in this beautiful temple that evokes something ancient, how it's kind of like it pulls you out of that. And I thought about it for the rest of the day after talking to this gentleman. This little thing that is supposed to serve a purpose, that's actually supposed to serve some purpose to achieve something, but how actually negative it is. And I don't know if I can change the practices of the New York Flushing Ganesh Temple. I hope that maybe someone can relay this message to them and point out how much nicer it would be if there were no signs, how much more beautiful it would be. Whether what outweighs the other thing, whether it's better to have no signs and to have people maybe pull out their phones and maybe to reprimand them verbally instead of having these glaring signs everywhere. But putting all of that aside, the thing that I can do, which is what I would like to share with you because you can do it too, is focusing on the details. There's so much, the point of this is there's so much that is actually beyond our control. I can't really control what the Hindu temple is going to do. But I can control in my little world here in this apartment, I can control the details. And those details, genuinely, they all add up and they contribute to effective change in your overall everyday. Something like this little detail, the nar as opposed to woolen yarn or jute twine, which is what I was using before. Last night, I was on the ground for 4 hours making this garland. It was like a 16-foot garland that went over the statue. And because I was a very good boy and I didn't take my phone out to take a picture, I don't have a picture of what it looks like on my phone. I have a picture in my mind of when they opened the curtain and Vishnu was all dressed in his splendor, and there was my garland around him. He was like nestled. I actually, out of the leftover flowers, I made a garland for Saraswati here, and Saraswati is nestled in her New Year's Day garland. So you can see a mini version of what it was like. But sitting on the ground for 4 hours and working with this beautiful stuff, there was such a big difference, and there was a difference in how I felt because of this. And this is a small detail. This is a small detail that contributes to something that is very emotional to me. So meeting Gopal and having him talk about what it is that moved him about what I'm sharing, and seeing in his face that he genuinely meant it, that he's not really a detail person, as he said, that felt really nice. It's something that I've just been doing for so long, focusing on the details, that I sometimes don't even really give it much thought. I just do it. But I would love if that is something that spreads, if that is something that spreads to more and more people, because as I said, they're small things, but they all add up. And if people were more conscious about the details, I think that contributes to bigger and bigger change. So that's my New Year's Day. I came back home and I went to the grocery store near the temple and bought 2 fresh coconuts. I am going to make some sweet rice, which is another tradition. My mom always made sweet rice. She used red rice from the Tamil store, and she cooked it in coconut milk, fresh coconut milk, and then, no, she actually used powdered coconut milk. I'm going to use fresh coconut milk. And then into that mixture, she added jaggery, sugarcane jaggery, which is kind of like a molasses type thing. And then at the very end, she would saute cashews and raisins. And it was the first taste for hopefully a sweet new year. So my sister actually showed me how to make it recently, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to make that sweet rice. I have to scrape some coconuts. This is my New Year's message to you, the details. What do they say? God is in the details. I wonder how Vishnu and Ganesh would feel about hideous plastic signs. We won't dwell on that. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for watching.